like to call the Dryden Township meeting to order. If everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
No, I know.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Here.
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 We'll open it up for public time. If you just state your name and if you want to say something.
Hi there, my name is Susan Huff. I'm from Dryden Township, and I'm a recent appointee to the BAAA, which is the Valley Area Agency on Aging. It benefits Lapeer, Genesee, and Shiawassee counties, as I'm sure many of you know. And I wanted to touch base with you because there is a public hearing, the annual report for BAAA in Emily City this Thursday, the day after tomorrow at 10 a.m. It's at the Emily City Senior Center on 3rd Street. So if you're interested in hearing the plans for the next 3 years, you might like to attend that. It's pretty important to our county because many of you probably know, 1 in 5 of us are 60 or over. Probably if you look around here, you can kind of see that from our hair. And sadly to say, of the over 25,000 60 and over folks we have in Lapeer County, over 21,000 of those folks are living at or below 150% of the poverty level. So the support they receive from Lapeer County senior programs and the Lapeer County senior millage, coupled with the grants from BAAA, are really important to a lot of those seniors, and I hope that you'll follow along and be interested in that. Additionally, coming up on May 20th, BAAA is hosting a Senior Power Day at Crossroads Village. $5. You get a train ride, you get a box lunch, you get legislative updates, you get lots of access to resources, and GLTA is getting free rides, 1 bus, so it's limited, but free rides to seniors who would like to attend. So I did bring some flyers about that, and I put the free ride information on the back, and I'd like to leave them with your chair or your secretary or whoever.
Bring them up.
Okay, thank you. And if you have some folks that could benefit, please make sure they find out.
How much are they asking for?
I'm sorry?
How much are they asking for?
On the senior village, I'm not sure about that, I have to say, because I'm not on the Lapeer County Senior Board, I'm on the BAAA.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for
Thank you.
coming.
Susan, is your information on here, or how to get a hold of you, or?
There is not information on how to get a hold of me, but if you'd like to get a hold of me, I would be happy to give you my phone number and my email address, but there is information on there how to contact with Lapeer Senior Programs, BAAA, and GLTA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's them over here if anyone wants. Put it on the website. How's that?
Anybody else for public time? Okay, we'll move on to consideration for approval of the agenda. And when we do item C, I just want to add and cemeteries.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have our minutes from March 10th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from March 10th.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have the payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bill.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then I believe she put something in our thing with correspondence for the Pazer report. Very interesting.
I said, oh, interesting.
Kind of grades, gives us grades.
Yeah.
Tells us where we're at with our roads.
This is available though on the Look Here County.
Every, yeah.
Yeah. The pavement conditions is what it is, what it is for Sanctuary.
That's right.
For Look Here County, Dryden Township, and the state of Michigan, and where we rank as far as, how good our paved roads are. So, looks like, Look Here County's ranked 37 out of 83 counties, so that's pretty cool. Michigan's ranked 31st. Not bad. And Dryden is up there, and it says that for Dryden roads, the poorest of conditions is between like a 1 to 4, it goes up to 10. But the poorest conditions that they say, we have 3.7% of our roads that are the poorest of the paved roads that we have. And the good thing is 8 to 10% for the highest level from 8 to 10. They're saying it's our highest percentage of good roads, and we had that at 86% in Dryden Township. So I think the work that was done on the road probably helped that tremendously.
Oh, absolutely.
So, that's good.
All right, next is the treasurer's report.
As I was just talking about that, I don't have much to add with our treasurer's report. Everything is there, and the tax roll's been turned over to county. All I have.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's financial report as presented.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have the zoning administrator report. It's been very busy. Next is the committee reports. So we will start with the fire department.
All right, for the month of March, we had 31 calls. They range from 1 citizen for agency assist, 2 medical alarms, 12 ambulance calls, 1 pursuit/chase. I forget what that was. 1 CO investigation, 2 wires on fire, 1 general fire, unclassified types, 2 road hazards, 1 officer call, 1 operating while intoxicated, 3 structure fires, 1 suicidal person, 4 wires down. For March, our training, March 2nd, we did the walkthrough for Pierre County EMS's ambulance. We had 75% in attendance with 4 excused. On March 12th, we did fit testing and smoke reading. We had 95% in attendance with 6 excused. March 19th, we did host deployment with 95% in attendance and 5 excused. On March 22nd, we did the pancake breakfast. We had 14 of 21 members present to help with it. Events for March, all radios were updated to include the MAVA channels, which is the channels for Oakland County. Class A uniforms had patches updated and were all dry cleaned. Nameplates were ordered for all new members and are expected to be delivered April 22nd. Thumb Alarm completed annual inspection of the smoke alarm system. We have 3 members that are signed up to take the NFPA Officer 1 course, which starts on Thursday. Members completed fit testing in-house, and we're looking into pricing on batteries and mics for radios. Upcoming events, Thursday, April 16th, we're doing Wildland Fire. April 25th is Ralph Stark's Celebration of Life at noon. It will be at the Wesleyan Church. April 27th and 28th is fire prevention at the elementary school. April 29th, myself, Deputy Chief Evans, and Jackie Black will be attending a FOIA class in Frankenmuth. Monday, May 4th is airway and ventilation. Thursday, May 14th is pump panel training. Thursday, May 21st is fires size up and tactical deployment. And June 1st is basic heat counts. And then at this time, I want to recognize 8 people. I have 5 people that are getting CPR Safe Awards. So on February 22nd, the Dryden Township first responders and Lapeer County EMS Alpha 8 were dispatched to an address in the village of Dryden for a person with difficulty breathing. While on scene, the patient went into cardiac arrest. Dryden first responders and Alpha 8 performed CPR on the patient and were able to obtain ROSC, which means they got pulses back. The patient was transported to McLaren Lapeer Hospital, where later that day they passed away. Although the outcome wasn't what we all wanted, a CPR save in the state of Michigan is considered a CPR save when ROSC is obtained and kept until the next level of care. Want to go up here for that? Where do you want it? Just here or? Dryden Center, right there. The first one is Lieutenant Jim Napolitano, who isn't here today. The second one is Jake Van Dam.
Good job, Dave.
Smile. Stand behind this, we'll all get one of teddy bears. All right, the next one's Matt Van Dam. Thank you.
Great role model for your son too. That's awesome.
The next one is Mike Anna Shepard. And the last one is Lieutenant Mike Blocksky.
That's recognized by the state of Michigan. That's awesome.
And then I also want to say the other 3 first responders was Dave Clements, Deputy Chief Jeff Evans, and Whitney Evans, who were standing by at the fire hall, just in case they needed more resources.
You know, we have fire prevention coming up at the elementary school,
Yeah.
but also, does the fire department provide smoke detectors
Yeah.
and CO2 detectors to residents?
Free of charge.
And what do they have to do for that?
You just contact the fire department during their office hours and sign up, and a couple firefighters will come out and install.
Get out of town.
Wow.
As many as you need.
I didn't know they installed them.
Do you need some?
You give away smoke detectors unless they're installed correctly. So if we give them away and the person installs them incorrectly and something happens, then it's a liability. So,
I didn't know
there's specific places in the house that are supposed to be.
Well, we do appreciate what the fire department does, and being the first responders is huge. Yes. Next is, police report. Sergeant Chestnut here tonight?
Our officers responded to 349 calls for service in the month of March, 57 of those being traffic stops. 11 citations were issued for motorists for various violations. We also had 11 traffic crash reports. Luckily, none of them were personal injury accidents. We did have 2 drivers that were arrested for driving while intoxicated. Officer Thompson took a repeat violent offender into custody without incident on the Dryden Township Police Department warrant. She was assisted by Almont as well as Metamora Township in bringing him to custody. The search and rescue drone unit was also activated and assisting Hadley Township with locating a missing Alzheimer's individual that had been in sub-freezing temperatures for 4 hours. Definitely a happy ending for that one. We have received a couple of complaints from the Pierre County Road Commission about speeding drivers. They requested that we kind of just pass along a message for people to drive a little safer and give them the right of way as they maintain our roads and streets. Our officers assisted with 11 medical related calls and 6 fire related runs in the month of March. Definitely stayed busy last month. Had multiple hours of training via the Lexipol Police One Academy. That's proving to be well worth its money. Additionally, our school resource officer, Officer Betts, attended the Tactical Emergency Casualty Care training put out by the Department of Homeland Security. That's probably one of the best trainings I've been to in the last 15 years. It deal with anything from band-aid cuts to missing limbs. So definitely good he went for that. Chief Peters also attended a workplace training sponsored by the law firm of Plunkett Cooney. Property inspections still remain high, but coming down as some of our snowbirds are returning. And that's filling back up as people leave for spring vacations, things like that. The 2026 Durango is currently at the Badger Emergency Vehicle Equipment Center. Beginning the upfit. I'm hoping that'll be ready probably in the next month or so, depending on parts availability.
Is the Oak Ridge Lawn and Snow. And they're up $29 from last year.
That does the, what does that? The depot in the park down there and here.
Yes.
All of them.
Yeah.
I make a motion to accept it. Oak Ridge Lawn and Snow.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have the Dryden Township Planning Commission annual report.
I planning commission this year, we were a little bit slower, we had 3 meetings, and, one of the wonderful things about Lapeer County, which has happened, was as the marijuana facilities kept coming out further north, that Lapeer County's supervisors all got together and said, hey, what can we do to help alleviate some of this that's going on? So they worked very hard, and you have to show your primary residence. You're working very closely with DTE, so anytime somebody comes in and needs a higher load than normal, they have to come before the planning commission. So that's what we've been working on in the planning commission. So, so anybody who comes in for those electrical compliance permits have to come before the planning commission. So that's what our meetings were. And then over the next year, we're going to see if we can get our master plan review done and review a couple of extra zoning ordinances, because we did update the zoning ordinance book, but there are a couple flaws in there that need to be tweaked here and there, and that's what we're working on. It's challenging when you start and you go through this stack of books and you're, okay, this is what we need to do, we need to change this, blah, 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 and then by the time 4 hours later at the end of the night, you're like, you get a little tired, so maybe some things aren't exactly what you need, so we need to tweak it. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the planning commission 2025 annual report.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. Next we have MML's grass cutting or mowing for the township and at the fire department, at the depot, and the cemeteries. And his prices have remained the same for the mowing. And then we'll do the cemetery clean up separately.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Discussion.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then next he has the cleanup. And his prices, I think he goes out and looks at all of them, so that some are higher and some are lower. So he has $270 or $370 for the Harris Cemetery, $505 for the Huff, which is Louisville Cemetery, and the one on Casey, which is Pioneer Foot Cemetery, is $505. And then the one in Thornville needs a lot of work he has a lot of tree damage, it's $910.
You know, looking at this, he gave us a quote for the spring cleanup for the cemeteries. But would this spring cleanup here offset this? I mean, so it gave us $2,000 for this, but this other packet.
That's for mowing, that's for mowing.
This one here for the mowing?
That's for mowing, yes.
Well, all the individuals here are,
He wrote that on there, but that's for the mowing.
so he does have the mowing section here, but on the very last page, he has, for spring cleanup for the cemeteries.
Oh.
So I would say that the cleaning up of the fence line and everything and whatever else would be awesome and would offset this. That's my thought. So. He has 4, but he's missing one off this, but I think it's the Lutheran Cemetery. So.
adjust that, Sue.
So the 2,000 is for the spring cleanup, and the 5,070 is for the mowing.
So, the mowing is all, yeah, and that is on,
On one page,
correct. Yeah.
so that's,
So, but I would say, I would propose to remove this, or leave the Lutheran cemetery on there for the $50, and then continue on with the cleanup, because he didn't do this cleanup like this last year, cleaning up the extra trees and that kind of stuff.
So just approve the separate one for each one that he gave us?
Yeah,
Okay, I agree.
so on this very last page for the spring cleanup, $50 for the Lutheran cemetery.
you wanna take that off,
Want to leave that one on?
leave that one on.
And then make a motion to accept the Lutheran cemetery cleanup, $50, but also done for the Haven cemetery, and the Cobb cemetery, and the Casey cemetery, and then the Thornwood cemetery as presented.
Okay, good catch.
So, $50 on
You wanna make that motion then?
yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the Lutheran cemetery cleanup for $50, the Haven cemetery for $370, the Hutt cemetery $505, Casey cemetery $505, and the Thornhill cemetery for $910. And that is cleaning all the trees, trimming down the trees, fence lines.
We have a motion, do we have support?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. And the other part to add to that is, to, we need a motion to approve to pay for, mowing for Dryden Center, $700, and the Boy Scouts for the North Dryden, Mill for $650.
Is that in here, or is that just?
And the $650. And we've been doing that each year.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. The Boy Scouts. Is that their name? The Army?
Army.
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is the police department part-time new hires.
We have two candidates for hire right now, a Robert Wells and a Joseph Sapienza. Robert Wells was with the sheriff's department for 27 years. Worked as a detective lieutenant for most of his career. He handled the majority of their criminal sexual conduct cases and other major cases that would come through there. I've worked with him pretty closely for the last 8 or 9 years, and he's helped out on a lot of our cases as well. Still finishing the background investigations for him. With the new MPOS mandates, it takes me about 50 to 55 hours to complete a background investigation. Second candidate is Joseph Sapienza. He has a little bit of previous experience with the Roseville Police Department, serving as public service aide, police officer, and currently works part-time for the Almont Police Department. He's 24 years old and just finished his background investigation, and I'm waiting for approval from the chief on that.
It sounds like we've got two good candidates. We're very fortunate.
Yeah, Joseph may be young, but he's a very, very good, level-headed guy, and Robert Wells is going to bring just a huge amount of knowledge to the department. I can't underestimate his capabilities. It's going to be great to have around.
Yeah.
You see the awards that I saw that he's earned.
Mm-hmm.
Smokes.
Yeah, his training file is very impressive. I believe I collected probably 60 to 70 training certificates, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. He's very well trained, very well versed in a lot of the criminal investigation aspects. Even this Celebrate authorized, which is a very extensive course in dumping cell phones for like criminal sexual conduct cases, things like that. So instead of waiting months, up to 6-7 months sometimes, for a cell phone to come back on a case like that, we can have him do it in hours.
Yeah, 2016 Child Advocacy Center Investigator of the Year. That's amazing. Your county Sheriff Department of the Year, that's cool.
I think it speaks a lot to you guys that he's coming down here to work part-time.
I may have twisted his arms.
So we need a motion to hire him, based on the background checks.
I need approval from Chief Peters.
Okay.
There was absolutely nothing that I've seen so far that would even raise my eyebrow, let alone any red flags, so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to hire Robert Wells part-time and Joseph Sepenza, am I saying his name right, part-time? Sepenza, based on if their background check and everything comes back okay.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I also forgot to mention that Robert Wells holds his private pilot license. And he has been willing to go out and search for rescues and things like that. He even flew his plane on personal time off, like 8-9 hours away, to pick up a violent suspect and bring him back. So he's very dedicated.
The next item on our agenda is blight for 3048 Jonathan Road. I'll let Jim speak to that.
Yes, last year the zoning administrator, Ron Shoemaker, started investigating this, determined we needed to move forward with things. We got to a certain point and said, no, we really need to update our ordinance so that it's what it should be if we're gonna take something to court. So the township board revised the ordinance, and then he started the clock running and gave them the appropriate notices. At the end of that, he got pictures, so when you're trying to describe blight violations, it's kind of like the husband trying to describe what mess the grandkids left in the living room. It's easier just to look at the pictures. And so I'll just leave you with the pictures. It's as is typical of blight, significant blight cases, it's a little bit of everything. But we think we're at a point where we would recommend that the township board authorize the township attorney to file suit in circuit court to pursue enforcement of our blight ordinance and our RV ordinance. I should mention that the notice that went out from the zoning administrator had a time deadline on it, and just toward the end of it, they said, oh, could we have some more time? You know, it's hard to access certain parts of the property. I talked to Tina, and I think our consensus is we think we should just go ahead and file suit. There's been a lot of delaying here. Plus, there will be some time even after the suit is filed. They have a certain number of days to respond to it, so they'll have some time. And some blight cases are the type that you can pursue an injunction early in the case. The pictures are clear enough and definitive enough that, well, you think you can just look at the pictures and the judge can see everything they need to see. We don't think that's this kind of case. We think we need an inspection with photographs taken, and so that will take a little while for us to get to that point where we can force our way to be able to take the pictures. And we think it'll be much easier to proceed with the case on that basis. So our recommendation is for the Township Board to authorize the Township Attorney to file suit in circuit court against the owners of 3048 Jonathan Road, Dryden, Michigan, in order to pursue enforcement of our blight ordinance and RD ordinance.
I'll make the motion to accept the recommendation.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say a few words.
That's not for the audience, it's for there's already a motion. I'll let you speak after.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Go ahead.
I'm Ruth Ann Flory. I'm at 3104 Jonathan, next door to 3048 Jonathan. I just want to know, my attorney had sent over a letter with drone pictures that were taken from the road today, and I wanted to know if you've received that letter, or if you can include it in your analysis.
To be honest with you, I probably won't, because it's easier procedurally, and safer, frankly, procedurally for the township to get on-site pictures, where we actually go on the property and get up-close pictures. I know there's at least one court opinion that said that the drone pictures are okay. There's some wiggle room in that case that I don't like. So I'd rather not rely on the drone pictures if I don't have to. And if I can go on and get inspection pictures where I can see it up close, I think that's probably preferable. Another thing you find out is when you're trying to get a court order from a judge to say, require them to do this, order them to do this, trying to describe what they need to do, what is it that needs to be removed, you really need up-close pictures. An aerial picture can kind of give you a bird's eye view of things, but it's very hard to turn that into a court order that says, you know, those 25 tires over there have to go, and those another 50 tires over there have to go. Those are the kind of things that, frankly, up-close inspection on-site pictures are what I think is best.
What if they don't let you on the property to take those pictures, though?
We will force our way on. We'll get a court order. The normal process for any kind of litigation is you file a request to inspect and take photographs. There's a specific court rule that allows you to do that. And if they won't allow you to do it, you file a motion to compel, the judge will order it done. And if they thumb their nose at the judge on that, frankly, they're risking sanctions, incarceration, and the whole works. They will let us on the property eventually.
All right, because the drone pictures clearly show there's not 25 tires, there's probably over 100 tires, and there's probably 30 barrels of unknown substance
I'm just
piled.
using that as an illustration.
Okay.
I'm not capping the number of tires that are on the property. I do understand that there's, unless he does a really quick cleanup, there's a lot of blight on the property.
Yes, there is. I have another question about burn permits, because they started to burn, and it smells very toxic. In fact, it's so toxic you can't even stay on your property when they're burning, and the flames are at least a story, if not more high. Can they just burn? Or what's the rule behind that?
Well, as far as the flames are, that's a fire department matter. They're the ones that issue the burn permits.
Then I'm asking you.
When you go online and apply for a burn permit or call the fire department and get one, there's a specific list of things that you can and can't burn. If you notice large amounts of black smoke and
Yes.
a smell,
Yes.
call 911, tell them, we'll send somebody out there.
Okay.
If they're illegally burning, the first time they get a warning, second time you start taking it.
Okay. Can I ask why this hasn't been done already?
As I mentioned, we needed to amend the ordinance. Then we have to, under our blight ordinance, we have to send a letter. They have a certain amount of time to be able to respond. Then you get pictures after that time expires. And this is the first meeting after that time expired for us to get the township board to authorize court action.
All right, just so you know, this has been like going on for 10 years. So this isn't like something that just happened 6 months ago. All these neighbors here have been complaining over 10 years. I've lived there 12. They were complaining to the TINA and the township board directly over 12 years ago. So we are all looking for an expedient resolution of 3048 Jonathan Blake.
I've been authorized to proceed. We'll draft a lawsuit. We'll get it filed and served.
And their timing to do that is a couple weeks, a week, tomorrow.
I would say probably a week to 10 days before the lawsuit will be filed, and then we have to get it served. You never know how long that takes. Obviously we have our own police department, so it's usually easier than some. After the lawsuit is served on the opposing party, depending on how you get it served, they have between 21 and 28 days to file their answer.
So if we come, can we keep this on the agenda? And if I come next month, can you give me an update next month?
That's the township supervisor's call on if they're keeping it on the agenda. I assume typically with litigation, it's typically on the agenda. I should also mention, they've changed the court rules in recent years. Unfortunately, it slows things down. And the reason for that is, once everybody's filed their answer, you used to be able to just go ahead and file a request to inspect and take pictures. You can't do that right away now. What they do is they have the township file what they call their initial disclosures with the other side. Once we file our initial disclosures, they have a certain number of days, I think it's 14 days to file their initial disclosures. We're not allowed to serve on them, request to inspect and take pictures until after that period is over with. And then once we serve them with a request to inspect and take pictures, they have 28 days to respond. So unfortunately, the court procedure changes have slowed down us getting to that point where we can take pictures.
Okay. I also want the police to know that they did run me off the road Easter Day, coming up over a hill, one boy after the other, and their two trucks. So, and I knew this was going to happen once the litigation starts. They're pissed off, basically, and they're being menacing in that neighborhood. And I want the police department to be aware that we have a big problem down there. They already burned my house down to the ground. So we have a big problem there that really needs attention. If you guys could just drive by once in a while, check on my property, we would appreciate it.
Absolutely. I have officers out to your residence regularly still.
Thank you.
Just so you're aware. And if we see them doing 10 miles an hour with speed limit, I have to instruct my officers to make sure that they're stopping and talking to them.
Okay, thanks.
Is there anybody else for public time? We'll adjourn the meeting, thank you.
All those years.
We did this, we were gone, we left, right?